What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Horror. This is Ethan Horror, and today we're going to be ranking all 7 Paranormal Activity movies from the worst to the best. Now, this is my second favorite horror franchise of all time, so I'm going to love most of them. I think I do love probably more than half. A lot of these are in my top 50 of all time, I'd say. I don't know. But I'm just going to get right into this because I have a lot to say about these movies.
Here's Johnny.
Oh, he's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! Yes. It's gone.
Coming in at number 7, when I say I love this franchise, there is one exception, and that is Paranormal Activity Next of Kin. I don't know what they thought they were doing with this, because it's not a remake. It's just a sequel that has absolutely nothing to do with the other 6 sequels that are incredible. Because I love the story of Paranormal Activity 1 through 6. I love that story. And then they just add another one on at the end that has nothing to do with any of the other 6. It's not even the same demon that is like possessing people. It's just a random. It's just a random found footage horror movie that happens to be in Paranormal Activity, and it's not even fully found footage because there's some shots that are just not found footage, and it's really weird. But there's also some just questionable choices that they take for this movie. I wouldn't love it even if they didn't call it a Paranormal Activity movie, but the fact that they call it a Paranormal Activity movie is a disgrace to the name. Coming in at number 6, I guess we're just going our number order, because that was 7, and number 6, I have number 6, which is Paranormal Activity: The Ghost Dimension. I like this movie a significant amount more than Next of Kin, but not saying it's a great movie. It's probably the only one of the original 6 that I don't love, but I mean, it's okay, I guess. It's another found footage movie. It continues the story. I like the story in this, but the characters aren't the best. I think this is one of the only ones where I'd say the characters suck. Not as in they're not likable, but as in they don't make sense and they're not really acted that well. And it feels the most like a movie. Rather than a found footage movie like the original 5, it just feels like a more movie, because there's more CGI demon stuff in this, where it's in the other ones you didn't really see the demon. You see the demon multiple times, and there is also a camera that can videotape the demon. Don't ask me who decided that should be in the Paranormal Activity movies, but it is, and it's horrible because it looks like garbage. I mean, the camera is really, really big, so that the camera looks like garbage itself, and the ghosts that are demons that it sees they also look like garbage. So this is the only one of the original 6 that I don't like. And coming in at number 5, Paranormal Activity 5, the marked ones. I love all of the 5 that we are going to talk about after this, well, including this. But the marked ones, I think, is a very, very underrated horror movie, and especially in this franchise, because a lot of people think it is sort of a spin-off, but it definitely follows the Paranormal Activity universe. It just doesn't have much to do with the original 4. It just continues the story while telling a completely new story. I love the characters. I think it probably has some of the best characters. It has one of the best settings of all these movies. But again, it's repetitive while also doing a lot of new things. And I think this is probably the most unique entry in the franchise that actually continues the story, Next of Kin. But I do really like this movie, and the Rotten Tomatoes score completely doesn't do it justice, because if you look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, it's at like 16 or something. Don't take Rotten Tomato scores for how a movie. You can enjoy a movie even if it's got like a 1% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like Pixels, a lot of people enjoy that movie. I'm not one of them, but I know a lot of people that do enjoy that movie, and this one has a really low score, and I really enjoy it. So, don't take Rotten Tomato scores as just don't listen to them. It's fine. But other than that, it's a pretty good comedy. It's funny. It's a funny Paranormal Activity movie, and it also has a really emotional. It's probably the most emotional Paranormal Activity movie. So it's the best at a lot of the things. I think it's probably, if you were to like look at all these, it's probably the best made movie, but it's not the one I enjoy the most. I promise all these aren't going to be in order, but at number 4, I have Paranormal Activity 4. This one is a lot of people's least favorites. I think that a lot of people don't like it because it is repetitive, which, sure, it is. It's basically the original 3 done over again, and sure, it doesn't have much to do with the original 3, but it still continues the story, and it has Katie, and it has Hunter, and it introduces new things, but I don't think it introduces enough new things for a lot of people to love it or to make it great. But I do really enjoy Paranormal Activity 4, and I think the characters are great. It's got Catherine Newton, which is she's one of my favorite actresses. She's in Freaky. She's in the new Ant-Man and the Lost Quantumanium. She's great, honestly, and I think a lot of the other characters are really well acted, except for the mom and the dad. They're well acted, but they're just confusing characters. It has a really cool house that it takes place at, but it doesn't have a really believable reason for the cameras to be set up. Like in the original 3, they have like legitimate reasons for the cameras to be set up. In the first one, I don't remember exactly, but in the second one, someone broke into their house, so they set up security cameras. In the third one, they get like demon stuff, so they set up like the oscillating fan, and it's really cool. But in this one, they just kind of like set up cameras for no reason, and it's fine. Coming in at number 3, it's actually not Paranormal Activity 3 because it's Paranormal Activity 2. I know, it's basically just like it gets worse as it goes along, but I do think that Paranormal Activity 2 is the third best Paranormal Activity movie. I think it does everything the original does right, and also improves upon a lot of it. I think it has some better scares than the original. I think it has some better character moments than the original, but I do not like it more than the original, obviously, because it drags on a little bit too much, and I do think it's probably the most boring of all the Paranormal Activity movies besides Next of Kin and The Ghost Dimension. Of the 5, I think it's probably the most boring. It's probably the slowest as well, but it has some of the best scares, so it's a really good payoff. Coming in at number 2, it's Paranormal Activity 3. I think Paranormal Activity 3 is the second most underrated of the entire franchise, because Part 5 is the most underrated, but I think this is very close for underrated, because I think it has great characters. It has young Katie and Christy, which is great, because you're going to see, like, what they were talking about, where their mom died, and they're just talking about all the stuff that happened, like their house burnt down, and they were haunted by the demons, and you just get to see all of that in the 80s, and they have a realistic reason for the cameras to exist back then, because a lot of people didn't have cameras back then, but the guy's a wedding filmer, so obviously he's going to have more cameras. He has to buy a lot of tapes, which is funny. He sets up the oscillating fan, which is great, because you get the camera where it, like, moves like this. There's some great scares in this, and I think it does a good job at not... Because for a sequel, you need to go bigger, with, like, bigger scares, but it's a prequel, so you can't have it be more power than they let on in the original movie. So I think they do a lot of new things. Instead of going for bigger scares, they do new things that are just scarier for the audience. And I think they do a great job at that, because the demon can't be more powerful if it's in the 80s. So And just like that, we're left with one movie behind me, and my number one is the original Paranormal Activity. If you look in the About section on my YouTube channel, you can see that it is currently my number 4 movie of all time. So, obviously, it's going to be number 1 on this ranking. It's my second favorite horror movie of all time. I love Paranormal Activity. It helps that I love found footage, and this is probably what kicked off that love for found footage, was this original. And when I tell you, I had the little like DVD collection of the original 6 for like 3 months before I actually put in any of the movies. And I put in the first one, and I fell in love, and I needed to watch the rest of them. And then eventually, it led to me buying this box set that has all of the movies, including the 7th one, because the little DVD collection I had doesn't have all 7; it just has the original 6. Because I wanted to watch Next of Kin. I probably should have just stuck with that DVD collection now that I'm thinking about it, but it's still, this is really cool. Because, I mean, the only reason I bought it was for Next of Kin, but it's also really cool the way it has, like, a handprint on here, you know, when you put all the movies together. But, Paranormal Activity is a perfect movie. It is the best found footage movie of all time, and borderline the greatest horror movie of all time for me. Because it never bores me while being a slow movie. It is, the scares progressively get more and more scary as you go along until everything goes down in the end, and I just think that that's a perfect concept, a simple concept for a found footage movie that they nail every single beat of this movie. You have the crappy character, Mika, who just completely writes off everything Katie says, and then you have the good character, which is Katie, and you love watching both of them because, yes, there's the demon, but you also need some internal conflict. Otherwise, it's just these two people getting chased by a demon, and it wouldn't be very entertaining. But I love this movie so much. So that's why it's my number 1. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to click the like button so I know that you enjoyed this and you want to see more videos like it. If you really enjoyed the video and you want to go as far as subscribing, please do, so I know that more people are viewing, so I can release more frequently. And if you do want to see when I post a new video, click the bell after you click subscribe. Not saying you have to, just saying if you want to see more videos, the bell is there. Otherwise, comment down below some more movies that you want me to rank, or some more top 10 lists you want me to make. And I'll see you guys in the next video.